Thank you, Professor Krauss. Now back over to Hamza. 3 minutes it will be, thereabouts.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you very much for your presentation. Now, I really want you to try and address some of my arguments. You produced something about with the Quran, but if you were attentive to my argument, the Quran says bring a chapter like it, not 2 verses from different chapters. So, again, it was a straw man of the articulation of what the Quranic miracle was. And I could spend more time maybe during the Q&A to explain what that is, but I specifically said bring 1 chapter like it. Your computer model, which I like to see evidence of, by the way.
But who decides what's like it? I mean, do you decide or do I?
Okay, is that a different question?
To me, Shakespeare is more beautiful than the Quran.
That's fine.
Okay.
But
or James Joyce.
Yes.
He doesn't use iambic
I
pentameter.
understand, sir.
Okay.
But what you have to understand, sir, is this, is that I repeated maybe more than once, it's not based on aesthetic reception and your opinions on beauty.
Who determined it?
Well, it's the reality, empirical reality.
No,
I'm going to explain.
Reality?
Let me explain what the argument is again, because from your onset you've misunderstood it. You thought it was
quoted
beauty.
People who said it couldn't have been created. But those are just literary scholars. What if I say, yeah, it could be created?
Yeah, let me just explain that, because your first presupposition was based on a falsehood, wasn't it? Yeah, you thought it was aesthetic reception. It's based upon the structural features of the Arabic language. And because I only have 2 minutes, I'll continue that in the Q&A, okay? So, also you're saying about that, look, if the universe began, and we could show that maybe empirically or deductively. My focus is on the deduction here. And I don't think you really address from the infinite perspective when we said that this is based on axioms and conventions in the mathematical realm of discourse, but in discrete physical parts, as you've admitted in your book, that can't happen. So you have a deductive argument that the universe began, which means it once wasn't there. Ontologically, if there wasn't a cause for that, you wouldn't have the universe in the first place. The second point I like to make.
No, there's you see the photon that's lighting you up from that thing?
Yes.
It didn't exist before it was emitted by the electron.
Yes.
Okay? It didn't exist.
Yes.
It wasn't there.
And you're saying there's no cause?
It wasn't, the point is, yeah, I'm saying this. What I'm saying is, there can be physical causes for physical effects.
Yes.
Okay, but they don't have to be, but God doesn't have to pull the photon up. Just because the photon appears from nothing doesn't require something supernatural.
I agree. But
okay, so if a universe suddenly comes into existence where it wasn't before, it doesn't require something supernatural.
But I already gave you a defeater to the argument that you assume that when things begin to exist, they may not require any causes. And that defeater was...
Not any purpose. I didn't say cause. I just said if a universe can come into existence by physical causes,
yes,
where there's no universe to begin with, it will happen at some time. And your point was, it
agree.
happened, and therefore, there's a reason why it happened, because it happened when it happened. But if it didn't happen then, it would have happened some other time, and we would have had this conversation at some
Let's calm down. You're putting words in my mouth, okay?
Okay.
What I'm saying to you, I'm not saying things like, I'm not talking about teleology. I'm not talking about there is a purpose behind...
Don't use definition. Did you not say, our universe came into existence for a cause, and there had to be a reason for it?
No, I didn't say reason.
There had to be a purpose?
No, I didn't say that. I said there is a cause.
I thought you said there was an intelligence. You gave a whole long argument.
Oh, that's after using conceptual analysis that you agree that there is a uncreated creator or a cause that was uncaused. Now...
Well, hold on, but forget all that. I just talked about our universe.
Yes.
Are you agreeing with me that our universe doesn't have to have any purpose or reason to create it?
No, of course I'm not. I don't agree with you.
Well,
but that's not my argument. My argument is, deductively, was the universe once absent?
Yes.
Yes. If that's the case, then ontologically, which means the nature and source of reality, is that it couldn't have come into being without a cause.
Well, okay. First of all, I hope it's that way, because that'd be easier to understand.
Yes.
Okay? It's possible that it's not that way. Okay? So if it has, and you could take this out of my time if you want, I don't give a damn. The point is that maybe time exists outside of our universe, maybe it doesn't. Let's just pretend it does, and then our universe came into existence, and there was a physical cause for that. That's fine, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with our universe coming into existence for physical cause, just like that photon being created. But as I pointed out to you, it's equally possible that these notions that we have in our brains, because we're humans living at a classical level, that time exists and is a continuous flow, may break down. And if they break down at t equals 0, then any sense of the word cause becomes nonsensical. The word cause is a red herring in your terms. It's not worth discussing. It may not be relevant to the creation of our universe because there may not have been any time before it, and therefore this notion that every effect has a cause may be irrelevant if there's no time. Now, I don't know if that's the case, but I'm willing to ask the question, and I'm willing to do studies to see if it's reasonable.
Yes.
I'm not willing to presume the answer before I ask the question.
Well, of course, I agree.
Okay.
But the point is, the presumption here is that you require time, and that there's a specific physical definition for time. Now,
the presumption is after t equals 0, you require time. That's absolutely true. The presumption that you require time at t equals 0, if you took the equations as they're written, time would go out the window.
I don't have a contention with the physics. That's your job.
No, but there's no. Yeah. But if you take it as they're written, there's no time. The time has no meaning at t equals 0.
Okay, agreed.
Great.
According to the physics, I don't disagree with you. I highly respect that. But all of that is inductive in nature.
No, it's not.
Of course. What is it based on? Is it deductive?
It's based on observation.
Which is inductive.
No, it's empirical. It's empirical. You know, the problem is, it's empirical.
Okay, well, what's empirical?
Okay. Look, I don't care. Look,
do you have an infinite set of observations? Mm-hmm. Have you had an infinite set of observations?
Now, if you're going to tell me I read something you wrote which really misrepresented science, you're absolutely right. If you're going to tell me science can never tell anything with absolute certainty.
Yes.
Okay. Except things that are wrong.
Yes.
That's what science can tell.
I agree.
Science can tell us the Earth isn't 6,000 years old. Science can tell us that science can tell us many things, and so
I don't disagree with you.
Okay.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay, so the fact that science can lead us closer to what is the underlying reality is absolutely true, and the fact that science can't say with anything with absolute certainty is absolutely true, except what's wrong.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. And it can say certain claims, for example, that the moon split in two when he was there is wrong. Now, I know you're going to say
another red herring. Another red herring.
I know another red herring, but certainly...
Loads of fish in this room today.
No. Some people, as you know, some interpreters of that thought that was the case, but they're wrong. You agree with me?
That's it.
Do you agree that...
I'm making a different point here, Professor.
Okay, all I'm saying is this is a book of words, and you can interpret it many different ways, and some interpretation of those
I'm going to address
that.
I'm going to address that as well. But look, we're going from so many different issues. It's a typical strategy of not knowing how to respond to a particular point. Look, the point of interpretation, for example, the Quran, for example, if we read the whole of the Quran holistically, we understand that it's probably the only religious book that gives you tools of interpretation. For example, the Quran says there are some open-ended verses, ambiguous verses, and they're specified. So in linguistics, it's called intra and intertextuality. Now, therefore, it creates a scope of interpretation. Yes, I agree there's interpretation, but there are some things that lie outside of the scope because you don't know the language, you don't know the interpretive tools, you don't follow the scholarly tradition, etc. So there is, yes, I agree, a scope of interpretation, but it's fixed. So that, in essence, is a red herring. The point I want to get to
what's different about that than, say, Christian theological's different interpretation of the Bible?
Well, that's very interesting. Well, for example, in the Protestant tradition, the reason they moved away from the Catholic Church is because they said, look, it's me and my book, and I could interpret the way I want. But now a lot of Protestants are coming back to the Catholic tradition because they're saying, how do I understand God's Word? And that's why they see the church entity as an interpretive authority, do you see? So obviously they have their own confusions, but the book doesn't tell it how to interpret it. That's why you have the German School of Systematic Theology.
The Catholic Church, which now accepts evolution, for example, would say, you're right, the book doesn't tell us how to interpret this ridiculous first...
But I just want to get back to my original point, which is...
There's nothing unique about it. You keep pretending Islam is unique, and I don't see it.
Can we deal with a point at a time?
Okay. Yeah, okay. But you throw these things out.
We believe Islam is not unique.
If I don't
challenge them, then we don't believe Islam is unique. We believe it's a universal message that believes in one true God. Don't enslave yourself to your ego and your desires and the bestial aspects of man or to the social pressure, loyal because I'm worth it. But free yourself from these shackles and worship the divine, which gives you true freedom. Because if you want real liberty, interesting, the word ruh in the Arabic language means soul or self. And it comes from the triliteral stem.
Soul or self? Which one?
Both. Okay. In different contexts, okay? We just be nuanced, okay? Yeah. Not reductionist. So
what's a soul? You want to tell me what a soul is?
Well, when you die, you'll find out. Let me just get my point. Let me make my point.
That's a really bad explanation.
Well, come on.
Because it gives me something I can't test.
Listen, I'm the Greek. I'm supposed to be full of sophistry and rhetoric here.
Well, you are, but that's true. Okay.
The point I'm trying to say is that the word ruh etymologically shares the same meaning with the word raha, which means liberty and serenity. And interestingly, we all want to seek this type of liberty, but the irony is, from an existential perspective, what does it mean to exist? Who am I? We're all in a state of slavery, because your birth, sir, your birth, madam, is just like the American writer once wrote, we're born, and then we're sold into slavery. You never chose your birth.
Well, it was Rousseau who said that. Man is born free and
Yeah,
lives forever.
yeah, exactly. Well done.
Yeah,
Good. So let me.
It wasn't American,
Yeah, but let me get poetic here. Yeah.
Okay.
So the point is, we don't choose our birth. I didn't choose I was going to be Greek, looking like a Pakistani. You never chose a.
Shaved, you wouldn't look so Pakistani.
Well, I'm growing my hair just like yours.
Okay.
So, yeah,
It's true.
it's nice.
That's right.
So the thing I'm trying
like
to
your
say.
hair, by the way.
Thank you. We're becoming friends now. Yeah. So the point I'm trying to say is, look, let's be nuanced about some of the narratives from religion. That, in essence, that's how. See, you have to empathize and see the filters that the Muslim will use. And that's why a Muslim woman who may cover her hair, a Muslim man who may grow a beard, these are not reasons because it's like this kind of ridiculous type of blind slavery. We really understand that the only way to free yourself from the shackles of the ephemeral nature of social pressure, because we're social animals, of the very fact that you didn't choose your birth or your ethnicity or even your own gender, you free yourself from these shackles by what we call ubudiyya, a servanthood to the divine reality.
But the question I want to ask is
Yes.
it sensible? So why is it sensible for a woman to be covered up and not a man?
Well, I am covered.
No, you're not covered up. You're not covered up.
You wanna
You're not
say-
put in a bag like some of the people back there.
Well, it's not really a bag.
No, it is.
Yeah?
As far as I'm concerned, it is.
Okay, look, that's a different question. I'm not going to get into the moral judgments from certain traditions, because at the end of the day,
And,
we've already...
and by the way, they're all only Islamic. I mean, if you want me to offend other religions, I'm happy.
No,
to
I'm
do
not
it.
saying that, Kraus, but someone who is rationalizing incest doesn't have no more high ground to point the finger at Muslim women. I mean, and the other point... No, but let me finish.
I explained why.
Let me complete the sentence. I'm sure it wouldn't go ad infinitum.
Okay.
Let me make my point.
Well, we could go ad infinitum because it could last an infinite amount of time. It's really
Potentially. So, not actually.
you agree?
Potentially, yeah, but not actually. That was my point, which you misunderstood. So the point I'm trying to say, Professor Kraus, is this, is that, these pointing the finger at other traditions, where is your ontological basis for an objective moral value like this?
Well, in fact...
Is it objectively wrong that she's wearing a bag?
What?
Is it objectively morally wrong? And how is it objectively morally
wrong?
wrong?
I asked if it's sensible.
Okay, is it sensible?
Okay, and so my question to you is, it seems to me that given the fact that I happen to view women and men as, we have differences, inherent genetic
Of
differences.
course, yes.
But in every other sense, we're equal human beings. And in fact, in many senses, as you know, there are advantages and disadvantages.
We don't disagree with that.
So I do not see any reason to treat women differently than men. It doesn't make sense to me. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, fair enough. Good.
Okay.
So the point is, when we make moral judgments, I know you use the word sensible, but other times you're making moral judgments.
I don't talk, unlike you, I don't talk about morals, because I try, in this sense, the question before us was not, is atheism moral, or is Islam moral? It's, is it sensible? And when people act...
So why have you spent 25 minutes pointing the finger and making moral judgments, rather than trying to deal with my argument?
I didn't make
For example,
a moral judgment about your misinterpretation of whether infinity is allowed in physics. I didn't make a moral judgment.
I never said that.
I made a factual
I never said
judgment.
that. I said it makes sense in physics because you need the mathematics to correspond to physical reality. I don't disagree with that. I am saying...
So you need the mathematics to correspond to physical reality. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, of course you do.
So
According to
physical
physics.
reality can allow for infinity.
According to what, I learned a lot from your book, actually. It was quite interesting. You said, even in your book, I think it was page 81, you said that essentially, there's the maths, and I need to improve my physics to ensure it's in line with the math. And interestingly...
No, I need to improve my math to ensure it's in line with reality.
Okay, good. So,
Okay?
what is
the evidence of experiment.
Yes, good.
So if my math doesn't agree with the evidence of experiment, then I change my math.
And that's why I think, and I don't want to build a straw man, you made a conclusion in your book, you said, this is why you can't have an infinite anything.
No.
You said that in
You
your
show
book.
me where I can't have an infinite anything.
Yeah,
Did I talk about
give me the
infinite
book.
energy density?
Let
Did
me
I talk
find...
about whether the universe might be infinite?
Let me find it for you.
And by the way, if I did, I was wrong. I mean,
One second.
That to me,
No, that's honourable. That is honourable.
That to me is the worst kind.
That's honourable. No, that is honourable. I admit.
Personally offensive about these arguments is you quote people as if what they say matters. But the great thing about science is there are no authorities.
I agree.
There are no scientific authorities. Everyone can be wrong, and we all are.
That is honourable. That is honourable. I have to.
People who claim to be, including Benedict, before he stopped being Pope.
Yeah, 1 second. 1 second. Just bear with me. He wanted it here. It's here somewhere.
No, I'm enjoying it.
Please. Oh, this is good. This is good. Okay, so here we go. Infinity is not a pleasant quantity, however, at least as far as physicists are concerned, and we try to avoid it whenever possible. Clearly, the energy of empty space, or anything else for that matter, cannot be physically infinite.
The energy of anything.
No. You said...
Sorry.
Or anything else for that matter.
The energy of anything cannot be physically infinite.
Where's that there?
The energy of empty space or the energy of anything else.
You're reading another book now.
I wrote it. Well, Mohammed may not be here to talk about the Quran, but I'm here to talk about my book.
And you don't even know your own book.
And my book says, I repeat.
Yes, do that.
I repeat. Maybe I should change it into Arabic so you understand it. But the point is, the energy of empty space or the energy of anything else cannot be infinite.
Oh, okay,
That's
fair enough.
what I said.
Okay, good. So really, it's suggestive of my point.
No.
Sorry.
It didn't say space cannot be infinite.
Did you get this sign, by the way?
It didn't say space.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't say space cannot be infinite or time cannot be infinite.
Good.
Because they perfectly well can.
Okay, good. But there's another point you made. Wait. The other point is...
you're making a big mistake to try and talk...
No, I'm not.
You'll be happy to show me what you said if I misquote you.
Listen,
Okay.
Professor Krauss, I can only read your words when you say, or anything else for that matter, means or anything else. But I know I shouldn't have...
Was that paragraph about energy?
Yeah, but...
Okay, just ask me...
Oh, so there's a context now. But when it comes to religion, there is no context.
No, there is.
But when it comes to physics, there's a context.
No, I talked to you about the fact that different interpretations lead...
Fair enough. I
in the
agree.
Quran.
I agree.
People have interpreted the Quran incorrectly.
I agree, Professor Krauss. But listen to this. What you have to understand is this. Do you agree that the universe started at a finite time ago?
Do I agree?
Yes.
The
Because you made that point.
13.72 billion years ago.
Yes.
It's as far back as we can go to about the first millionth of a
10 to the minus 43 or something.
Well, no.
Has it changed?
Empirically, we know it to about a millionth of a second. Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Of course
Good.
it started finite
So
time
good.
ago.
Exactly. So that I said was suggestive evidence for my deductive reasoning. Okay?
Well, it was suggestive evidence for the Rig Veda, Akhenaten.
Yeah, I know. Good. Let's carry on now.
Myth, it's just as beautiful. It was created.
I agree. But then I said, but since we have the best possible explanation, which is an uncreated creator, or there is a cause that was not caused. Because I gave you all the logical explanation. This is the point. You should be attentive.
No, I have the best explanation. It came from nothing by physics.
Yes, but your nothing, is it really like nothing?
No space, no time. Our universe didn't exist.
So there was
no quantum foam. There was nothing where our universe existed. There was no space and no time. Everything we see, this room that we're in, did not exist.
When your friend Vilenkin comments on that... Can we have a Q&A, please? 1 second. So when your friend Alexander Vilenkin, who's a renowned cosmologist...
A good friend. Yeah.
A good friend. I mean, I read some of his works. It goes way beyond me. I have to admit that.
And in fact, you know what?
Yeah.
You know what? In fact, Alex Vilenkin, as you read in my book, as I did, in fact, he scooped me because he wrote...
Yes, he did. I read that. Yeah, that was very interesting.
Talked about a creation of space from no space.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Recently, he has mentioned that there is a spatio-temporal boundary, right?
No.
What has he said?
Well, he is, I mean, we can talk about the details of the instanton that he described.
Yes.
But in fact, there is no space at the central point of that.
Okay, agreed. So, but, see, my main point is that this evidence is suggestive of an evidence that is what I would call far more stronger. It has great epistemic value, and I'm going to end on this. Because it has greater epistemic value, because as you admitted, the inductive method doesn't lead to certain conclusions, whereas the deductive method leads to certainty. Now, you can't get it all the time.
Wrong.
But no, if the premises...
I can be certain about something be wrong. Can you?
I agree. But
okay.
Krauss, if the premises are sound and the logic is valid, it's still certain. You still have to prove to me...
Respect your logic?
Yeah, but Krauss, Professor Krauss, you still have to prove to me that the deductive logic I used is unsound or not valid, and you haven't done that.
Well, if you don't think I have, I do.
Okay, I'm really sorry to interrupt you, Professor Krauss, Hamza. You're going at it hammer and tongs, but there's a whole bunch of guys out there who want to sort of have a say, okay?